maybe giving some advice or support, like verbal support to someone, and they look at me and go, oh, how often do you tell yourself that? Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Tiff and Tony Show. Hello, Tony. Welcome back. Everybody else, welcome back. We have another cool topic for today, but first, Tony, how are you doing?
I am doing well, thank you. I am back at my home office, and I'm wearing my England jersey with pride today because the English Lionesses won the Euros yesterday. So, yes, we are European champions. First silverware that the English ladies won, which is awesome.
Awesome. Very cool.
How are you doing?
I'm okay. I'm hanging in there.
Okay.
Yeah. And
We'll skip over that.
About that. Yep.
Yeah.
So today it's sort of continuing our conversation from last week, but we have a question for you. And I'm going to ask the question, but then we're going to kind of talk about the question and then our challenge like usual. So the question is, how do you find time to take care of yourself? But there's a sort of like spin here. Like Tony said last week, he's turning a question on its head a little bit. So I'm going to let you tell us what you mean by that.
Yeah, so typically what we do, and it's a natural thing to do, is we say, how do I find time to take care of myself, right? And so when I ask that question, what I've done is I've turned it inward in myself and I've put it into the echo chamber that is my brain, right? And so I'm the one answering my own question, and I'll answer it from the place that I always answer those questions from, right? How do I do anything? How do I do a better job of engaging in work? How do I do a better job of answering questions? But it turns it inward and it closes it down almost, right? Because like I said, it's this echo chamber that we've got and we answer our own questions. And so what I'm learning is a different way of asking that same question. And you ask it as if you're asking it of someone else. Mm-hmm. So in my own mind, I will now sit there and go, how do you find time to take care of yourself? First off, what it does is it makes the question a little bit more curious in your own brain, because now you're looking at it as if you're going to answer it, giving that advice to someone else, right? And so you're already going, that's a good question. How do you find time to take care of yourself, right? And so immediately it's just rephrased the question, and it's made the question a little bit more alive and a little bit sharper in what we're doing and how our brain is dealing with it. And I know it's semantic and using words, but words are important to our brain. You've got to remember that we are all amazing advice givers. We are not the best advice takers. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right.
It's
right.
easy
Because
to do stuff off, but it's a lot harder to take that on for yourself.
Yes. So if you and I were in a conversation, you'd come up and say, whatever it is, I'm having problems with finding time to take care of myself, as we're on that topic. And I immediately would jump in and say, well, you know what you want to do? You should meditate 5 minutes a day, and in I would jump with the advice. So with that being said, if we actually sit there and ask a question, how do you find time? How do you make time to take care of yourself? We are instinctively advice givers. So we will then start to give answers to that question as if we were answering someone else.
It's sort of like I often find myself, either I'm saying this or someone's saying this to me, where like we're having this conversation. So either I'm maybe giving some advice or support, like verbal support to someone, and they look at me and go, oh, how often do you tell yourself that? Or they look around, like this happened last week where I was having a conversation and someone was sharing something with me to like help encourage and support and like provide advice to me. And then I was like, hey, so, based on the other things we've talked about today, like how often are you telling yourself the same thing that you just told me? And so I think it's an interesting perspective. It's like you said, it's a way to kind of turn that question on its head and be like, oh, if someone else was asking me this question, how would I actually answer it? Because when we're answering that question for ourselves, we can sort of get in like a robot mode or like autopilot mode. It's really challenging you to be like, oh, if someone else was asking me this, what would I say? It's a little bit more curious. It challenges you a little bit more because it's easy to give your own self some like, no, I kind of did it. It's fine. Like when someone else is kind of holding you accountable to this thing, it's a little bit harder. Makes you think a little bit more. Makes you like dig a little bit deeper and be like, well, I'm not going to lie to this person, or I don't want to like man to this person. So like, oh, I'm actually going to come up with a thoughtful response.
Yeah, what it does is it takes you out of your echo chamber of your mind, because you are now thinking of answering it to a third person, and that helps, just like you said, be more creative, be more open, be more thoughtful. And then what you can do is you can ask that or question, remember, and what else? You can ask that. You can say, so how do I find time to look after myself? Well, I could actually schedule it in my calendar. And what else? I could meditate in that time. And what else? All of that stuff you can add to it as if you were having a conversation with someone else, and you get so much further down the line than how do I take care of myself? It closes it in, done, and you're answering yourself, and you don't like to do that too much.
So that's our challenge to you, is to ask yourself from a third party perspective, how do you find time to take care of yourself? And then you can follow it up with the AWE question, AWE, and what else?
And that's brilliant. That's a brilliant challenge. And it doesn't have to just finish with take care of yourself. Any question you have, ask it in that position. How do you? Bam. Instead of saying, how do I? It's great stuff.
Yep, that's perfect. Well, thank you again for a really cool tool that we can use to help ourselves stay growing and grow in self-awareness. And I hope everyone has a great week.
Yes, thank you very much. Take care, all.
Bye. Thank you so much for joining Tony and me in this week's episode of the Tiff and Tony Show. We hope you feel encouraged and motivated to keep growing with us. If you like what we do here at PureGame, one of the best ways you can support us is by liking and sharing this video with your friends on social media. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel using the button directly below this video on YouTube, and you can donate at our website, www.thepurgame.org. And with that, we'll see you right back here next week.